are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for sitting down to chat with me for a little bit.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. You ready to go? I've got a list of questions here for you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm just gonna shoot. First off, simple. Just tell me a little bit about yourself.
I am a nurse in my working life, and then write books in my spare time. I have a daughter, husband, and two dogs. Live in Colorado and love to travel, and of course, read books as well.
So, have you always been a writer? If not, how did you get into it?
So yes, I my dad was a journalist and then he started a consulting business when I was younger, but always still he always wrote. And so I think, he instilled in me a love of reading and then writing. So I mean, I've found stories that I wrote when I was like in elementary school and middle school and
Yeah.
yes, always loved to write.
What are some childhood books that kind of inspired you along the way?
Gosh, well, he liked to read books like The Hobbit, which like allowed to us,
Yeah,
right? Wrong, and you're like sitting there getting ready for bed, listening to The Hobbit could be a little.
right. A little daunting.
I remember reading like Amelia Bedelia when I was super young. Long Stocking was like one of my favorites when I was younger, and then I got
Okay.
into like history books when I was in elementary school, and I've always loved them from then on.
Right. I love that. So, how did you end up writing for Magnolia Blossom?
So I self-published two books and then a novella, and they actually reached out to me and inquired about publishing with them. And a lot of publishing companies don't take already released books, and so I was very excited that they would take on the books I had already written. So they took on the two books and the novella I had already written, and then I wrote or finished one I'd already been working on for Raven Tale, and then still have one B book I'm working on for Magnolia.
Nice. Can you tell me a little bit about the Bees series?
Yes. So I actually started writing the series, oh my gosh, probably shortly after I got out of high school. So probably like 20 plus years ago, 20-ish years ago, maybe. But I had initially made it so an elderly woman owned the bookstore. And it just, like, I always had the concept in my mind, but it didn't really go anywhere. And then kind of had a family trauma and I was having a hard time kind of dealing with that. And so I needed something to do with my time. And I thought, well, I'm just going to start writing again.
Right.
And kind of stuck. I did it from the view of two sisters and just kind of wrote more of what I knew. And I just started writing and I finished Bees in like 3 or 4 months, I think.
Wow. What kind of inspired the story in and of itself, though?
So I walked into a flower shop one day and I just kind of thought like how strange it was that flowers could symbolize so many different things. Like
Right.
you get funeral or flowers at a funeral, flowers for someone who's had a baby, or if someone's sick, or if someone's happy.
Literally any occasion.
That
Yeah.
would it wrote a book about a book or a book about a flower shop
Yeah.
where everyone kind of has different things going on, but all central to like this flower shop and the different reasons they maybe buy or receive the flowers.
That sounds kind of beautiful. What do you hope readers kind of take away from the book series?
Just relatability. I think I tried to write kind of relatable characters and just each part in the book has a different flower symbolism behind it, and all of them are kind of going through different things at different times. So I think it kind of I want people to relate to the fact that, life is kind of tough and things like friends and flowers can bring a little bit of joy, despite what we all go through.
I wanted to ask you, I know that the book is kind of it's published by romance and whatnot, but it feels like it's more of an encompassing story. But a question I guess I would ask you about the romance kind of side is, what do you think it is about romance books in general that kind of just keeps readers coming back time and time again?
I definitely think even from a tiny age we're shown books and well, mostly movies, but you're kind of taught to seek this great, these great relationships in your life. I think we all continue to read books like that, to see other people's stories and to see glimpses of our stories and other people's stories and then hope for our own story one day. So yeah, and I think, this one is more of, I think, a contemporary fiction,
Mhm.
but there is some romance in there as well, some new love type stories, but also, there's kind of a friend romance between all of the women that meet at the bookstore.
Taking on a darker tone, though, I know that you have a horror with Raventail as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that one?
So I actually got the idea for this when we have a Sam's Club. I think they have those
Yeah,
all
I know.
over.
Yeah.
I was out and I saw a missing poster and it looked kind of like my daughter's face.
Oh,
And
that's creepy.
I walked out of a store and your loved one is on the poster. And so I kind of, went on that idea of like, what if you're about to pick your child up from school? So you know that they're not missing, but you see this missing poster. And I actually had to write it twice because the first time I wrote it, it was kind of confusing and I didn't love it. And I had some alpha readers that thought some parts didn't make sense. And so I rewrote it and I really actually like how it turned out.
Are you working on any upcoming projects that you can share a little bit about?
I am writing the next B book. So it is based on one of the characters from These Flowers, one of the characters you meet named Eleanor, who unfortunately gets flowers because she's in a kind of a domestic situation where her fiance buys her flowers every time he mistreats her. So I, of course, had to eventually make them break up. So this
Right.
is her love story. And then I'm doing an anthology piece for the Christmas anthology for Raventail.
Nice. I love that. Are there any kind of ideas that you would love to explore in the future writing wise or genres?
Ah, I mean, I've always read every genre, I feel like. So, I mean, I also have a children's book that I
Oh, I
sell.
love that.
Yeah, I'm doing a book signing at Barnes and Noble on Saturday.
Oh,
So,
how exciting. You've done a lot.
I can't pick just one genre to write because I love all of them.
Right. I love
So
that.
I'd love to just keep writing anything, everything.
Well, talking about writing, can you tell me a little bit about what your writing process is like?
So a lot of people, well, I am definitely what they call a pantser. It comes in my brain
Right.
and
Yeah.
kind of like a movie and it just has to come out. So that's how it comes out for me. And I set up a desk on my treadmill. So I used to be able to just write and work out at the same time, but
Yeah.
I self tendonitis in my knee from doing that. So
Oh,
now I just sit at my kitchen table and actually right here and just write and try and write every day. But, life kind of gets in the
yeah.
way.
So I'm almost done with questions, but I think the last question I have for you today is what advice would you give to any aspiring writers out there?
Just to think of it as a one day at a time. Even if you wrote one page a day, and I actually read this advice, I can't remember, it was from a very famous writer, but if you just write one day at a time, one page at a time, even have a full novel. So it doesn't have to be a something that takes over your life.
Yeah,
Just a little bit every day eventually will equal a book. And just to not be too hard on yourself. It's a very vulnerable process to write, and not everyone is going to love what you write. And, most artists are kind of sensitive, but to
yeah.
just get that out of your head right away, even the best-selling authors have people that don't like their books. So just
Yeah.
write every day, and just, don't be too hard on yourself, and take constructive criticism well, but don't listen to the negative ones that are just to be negative.
Right, exactly. I love it. That's great advice. So lastly, all I wanted to ask is where can people find you on social media?
So I'm on everything.
Oh,
I
that's
have
good.
Instagram, Corlet Dawn author, a TikTok, same, Twitter. I have a Facebook page, and just on Facebook as well. So,
I'm glad you're on TikTok. I keep trying to get more authors to go onto TikTok because it's so much fun.
gosh, books go viral there.
They
Like,
do. It's insane. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me for a little bit. I had a blast getting to know about your writing and your books.
awesome. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you, Corlette. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you. Have a good one. Bye.